Hi, it's the last day of the week and we appreciate you dropping into TNT. Now we're going to concentrate a bit on the foreign cash tax. There hasn't been much written about it there's actually been quite a lot written about it, but the actual amount of information we've got to work on is scant. In fact, we don't really know very much, except that they're proposing to tax foreign income coming into the country, be it Thai or foreigner. So we've got a little bit more information today, but it's really probably a regurgitation of what we already know, but perhaps some new perspectives on it. So look, let's jump in and we'll see what we can find out. This published in patiamail.com, an article written by Barry Kenyon. Thailand's proposal to tax foreign income next year could end up in court. And it says a former chairman of Baker McKenzie, the influential legal services firm based in Bangkok, has suggested the controversial tax revenue announcement could be contested in court. Kittapong Urapi Patanapong, as reported in Thai Examiner, said that the Revenue Department was reinterpreting an existing code which has been in operation for 38 years. It's neither a law nor an administrative or ministerial regulation and could well be challenged in court with a good chance of success. So this is still just an opinion, but let's go back to the source, to the Thai Examiner. And at thaiexaminer.com, change in the tax law does target expats living in Thailand and extends reporting obligations. And it calls the new tax a definite step by the government to widen the tax base, meaning more significant reporting requirements, at the very least for expats living in Thailand. So at the very least, you may not have to pay tax, but you might have to prove it. Calls for clarification of new tax regime which appears to target expat foreign income sources. And it says if the Revenue Department were to launch an aggressive campaign to generate additional income, it could see some expats from countries that do not have tax treaties with Thailand impacted, or where tax has not been paid on retirement funding or other income remittances from foreign countries. And back to Mr. Kittipong, who suggests that Section 41, Paragraph 2 of the country's revenue code gives minimal scope to the Thai government to tax any income from abroad by pointing out that the existing provision does not specify that income earned in foreign countries outside the jurisdiction of the kingdom is subject to tax at all. So you can find all the details, a lot of it opinion, at thaiexaminer.com. But going back to Barry Kenyon's article in Pattaya Mail, he says many expats, probably most, are worried that the Revenue Department will start taxing them on income already taxed in the home country, mainly pensions and social security payments. If they live in Thailand for more than 180 days in a year, they're regarded as residents, liable for taxation. There's no doubt that the revenue, I don't know why it keeps on missing the word department, means to target principally Thais or foreigners who enjoy business profits abroad, are currency speculators or have funds in offshore accounts, including Hong Kong. But the Revenue Department has remained silent for the past 2 months and claims to be collecting information from stakeholders. Well, that's just the problem. We don't seem to have any additional information to make some sort of informed decision what to do from January next year, when apparently this new tax code will apply. But as the article goes on, it seems that there are a few opinions formed about exactly what's going to happen. And the article says law firm commentators in Bangkok divide into two groups. Some believe that typical expats have nothing to fear if living here on cash already taxed in the home country. They often quote double taxation treaties, which Thailand has made with about 60 countries. Others, however, point out double taxation treaties are all different and don't necessarily reassure on points of concern currently spotlighted in Thailand, not to mention the potential paperwork which expats might have to fill in annually to convince the Revenue Department of their exempted status. Some are suggesting that large sums should be transmitted to Thailand before the end of 2023. So if you think what's going to happen after January next year is going to concern you, maybe that's an option, that you should bring some cash into the country before the end of this year. In the meantime, it looks like we're just going to have to wait until we've got some details. We're only some 6 weeks away from the end of the year and still no details from the Revenue Department. Friday's TNT, and glad to say there's been a lot of response from the TNT report the other day about the cleanup event partially organised by 5 Star Marine. They've also got a sponsor who saw the story who's getting involved, so I won't be promoting that, but well done to 5 Star Marine and all the other people, including government sponsors, who are getting involved with that cleanup on Ko Ratchanoi. We'll certainly have a report on Monday about exactly what happened. But yeah, this time of the year we do get some of these monsoonal storms blowing rubbish onto some of the pristine beaches along the Andaman coast. To this story now from thepatianews.com. Over 9.3 million convictions expunged in Thailand. Thaksin Shinawatra currently not eligible for criteria. So this sounded like a really interesting story. Here we go. It sounds like the Royal Thai Police have publicly revealed the expungement of more than 9.3 million out of 13 million convictions within 2 years. So I was looking for some details, but that is all the details we've got about these convictions and this so-called expungement. The rest of the article just waffled on about Thaksin Shinawatra, things like this. As for whether a royal pardon will be issued to Thaksin or not, the police commissioner said the police department holds no responsibility and authority to do so, and as a result has no comment on this possibility. So I had to go somewhere else to find out exactly what was happening with this expungement of conviction story. So we went to coconuts.co, the Bangkok edition, and it says, clean slate, police clear over 9 million criminal records. And over 9 million people who have had their criminal records cleared by the Royal Thai Police can now check their status in a new website that was launched, yesterday. The initiative aims to rectify issues in the screening process, as many citizens with a criminal history, despite being acquitted by the court or having charges dropped, still have records in the criminal records database. And it says the initiative has successfully restored rights to 9.3 million people out of the total some 13 million with criminal records within a 2-year period. It says if you happen to have a criminal record and think you may be eligible to be cleared of minor offences, you can check your status via this nifty website. Do take note though, this is just for Thai nationals. So if you think you've got a criminal record in another country, this website's not going to be helping you, just for Thais. It says they include cases with a non-prosecution order, withdrawn cases, legal cancellation of offences, individuals who have successfully rehabilitated from drug addiction, individuals who have been acquitted, legal amnesty cases, individuals who have been pardoned, no repeated offences within 20 years, minors or juveniles facing charges, and new verdicts stating the individual is not the offender, and cases with expired statutes of limitation. And then coconuts.co says we can probably assume that those accused of lèse majesté won't apply to this program. So that's the details about the expungement over the next 2 years of, up to 9.3 million criminal convictions for Thais. There's been a rash of new countries added to the visa-free or the visa exemption program in recent months. A lot of people complaining that their country is not on the list. Well, I mean, you probably already are visa exempt, to be honest. It's just that your stay is not being extended from 30 to 60 or 90 days. And I get your pain. You might just have to be patient. I think we're going to be hearing more about these visa exemptions or the extension of these visa exemption programs. But this one's just been announced. Bangkok Post reporting visa-free scheme for Thai Japanese business people. And Thailand and Japan have agreed on a reciprocal visa-free scheme for their business people visiting each other. And this according to the Prime Minister, Srettha Thavisin, and he and his Japanese counterpart agreed that Thai and Japanese business people should not have to apply for visas beforehand when visiting each other's country. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs will study an appropriate length of stay, he said, adding that it will probably be relatively long to facilitate business visits. So this is not to do with tourism, but Japanese business people. But another visa exemption anyway. And Mr. Srettha said he also assured the Japanese Prime Minister that his government would maintain its support for the production of Japanese vehicles with combustion engines in Thailand. Well, let's find out more about this, and we'll go to nationthailand.com. Srettha tells Japan Thailand won't abandon internal combustion engine car makers during EV switch. And the PM assured Kishida that his government would not abandon Japanese car makers that continue to make internal combustion engine vehicles at Thai plants, despite measures to turn the country, that's Thailand, into a hub of battery EV production. And Srettha said Thailand would remain a hub of internal combustion engine vehicle production during the transitional period. Thai government agencies would continue to collaborate with Japanese ICE automakers on support measures. The Thai Prime Minister certainly being busy on the sidelines of the APEC meeting, stitching up quite a few deals for Thailand and being Thailand's best salesman at the moment. But we move from this story to something pretty nasty in Bangkok, and this has been reported in the BangkokPost.com. Bound and gagged Taiwanese man found dead. The 48-year-old man was found dead in a room on the 6th floor of the Niran Grand Hotel off Sukhumvit 103. And police found the body lying face down beside a bed. The hands and legs were tied with belts and ropes, with the hands bound behind the back. The head was wrapped tightly in a transparent plastic sheet with plastic tape around the nose and neck. Investigators believe the man had been tortured. The room had been ransacked and there were traces of a fight. And there were 2 safes and bloodstains on one safe and a pail. Detectives have learned the man arrived in the country at about 1 a.m. on Tuesday, checked into the hotel on Tuesday afternoon. 2 Thai women met him at the hotel on Tuesday night. They also learned that 3 men, one of them Asian, might have been involved with the victim, who reportedly had served time in Taiwan for fraud and human trafficking. And the investigation is continuing. Obviously, a lot more to that story. We're now heading to Myanmar to check on that, troublesome spot, to say the least, up in the northeast of the country. We've been reporting about the 164 Thais who've been stuck in the border town of Lao Kang, reportedly and spelt slightly differently in different media. Let's find out a little bit more about that particular area. We go to thestraitstimes.com, and straitstimes.com reporting Myanmar scam town Lao Kai empties out as war approaches. And this reported from Yangon, and a town in northern Myanmar notorious for gambling, prostitution and online scams, is emptying out as war approaches, with thousands of residents prompted to flee. Ethnic minority groups in October launched an offensive against the Myanmar military across northern Shan state, capturing several towns in what analysts say is the biggest challenge to Myanmar's ruling junta since it seized power in 2021. The military installed a militia that got rich producing drugs and selling a potent cocktail of gambling and sex to visitors across the Chinese border. Access to the remote town is tightly controlled, but an AFP correspondent who visited under militia rule a decade ago described rival gangs making arrests at gunpoint on streets overshadowed by towering casinos full of Chinese gamblers. Sounds quite a town. It's really in the middle of nowhere, but when you zoom in, you do see these palatial casinos. I don't particularly see the attraction, but obviously a lot of Chinese gamblers do. Brothels and drugs abounded on the streets, but newcomers were told to keep a safe distance from the latest illicit industry to blossom in Lao Kai, online scam compounds. The centres are staffed by thousands of trafficked citizens from China and other countries who are forced to work, swindling their compatriots online. And the United Nations said in 2023 that at least 120,000 people could be trapped in scam compounds in Myanmar. So those scams continue. Those casinos are still open, and we've still got 162 Thai people who were basically hostages, and I think apparently 41 of them are being helped by the Burmese military at the moment to repatriate back to Thailand. But they say it could take 4 or 5 days just to travel that 400 or 500 kilometres back to the Thai border. Anyway, hopefully you're more up to date with things happening around Thailand. Thank you for joining us. Please subscribe to the channel, support our sponsors, 5 Star Marine, and we look forward to seeing you over the weekend.